Insider presents Geek Speak with Matthew Harris and Meredith Lachlan. We cover entertainment, news, and tech with special guest appearances. So sit back and enjoy as we geek out together right now.
Welcome to the Comics News Wire, where we get our news from the comics newsroom found at comicbookadvocates.com. This show is anchored by Mr. Anderson, who is the unboxable, advocating creator known as the Indie Comics Devil, who will tempt you with his devilish tales of fetish, monsters, and more. Join him and his co-anchors as they give you the comics news coming off the wire. This show is brought to you in association with... There's real no association. We're actually just going off the top of our heads. This is a combined effort between Geek Insider's Geek Speak program and CNW, the Comics Newswire. We have some great guests. We're just going to kind of hang out and chill this morning. So I welcome you all to what we don't even know we're going to do with as far as the program goes. But for now, welcome to our brunch where we dine on comics.
Good morning, everybody. So if you were watching the intro, you might be a little bit confused. You're like, wait a minute, and where's Matthew Harris? Well, he's not here, and this is something new, like Rob was saying. And we're just kind of filling in some space, having a little fun, talking comics. There's really nothing more than that.
That's good stuff.
So we want to go around the room, though, because we've got, and we are, I believe we're expecting one more guest, but I want to go around the room, and I'm going to start with Rob because we're going to talk about your book as well, and then we're just going to open up the conversation. Rob.
Hi. So it's early, as you see. It's too early, Indie Devil. For here in America, it's Sunday morning. It's 10 in the morning. And we're talking comics. So we want your feedback. If anyone wants to jump in and hang with us for a few minutes, please do that. But in the meantime, why I'm here is for Cat Dad and Supermom. It's a book for a family to sit down and enjoy, an individual to enjoy. It teaches morals with farts. It's really just a fun time. But it's a throwback to when the whole family could enjoy entertainment together. And it teaches about bullying. And I think we have to talk about bullying. And as I say in the video, this had to be of the highest quality because it's about my son. My son plays a character in this. He's an autistic little boy, and I wanted to create a universe that he could fall in love with. And I've done that with this. He loves seeing the art. He loves every time we get new art from Rahilmo Sinks. We have the second issue coming out soon. So you can get the first issue right now, and I want to be clear. All the books that are out there right now are no longer going to be printed the way they are because there's going to be a new publisher logo on it. So get your copies now. They're actually officially collector's items. Within a few weeks, there's going to be new books with new publishing stamps on it. So I'm going to pass it off to Ness, who should have gone first. I don't know why she didn't. Ladies
it's
first.
All right. No, it's nice to hear you go first. Actually, I haven't done this in a while, so it's nice to have the warm up.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Show me how it's done, just to remind me.
I wasn't ready to go either. That's why I started talking about the show.
Oh, so it's all right. Ladies first, because you're always not ready. I see your game. Yeah, so I've got Ava. It's currently in demand on Indiegogo. Ava is basically a cyberpunk sci-fi sort of story set in the 23rd century, and it's about sort of, if you think about Facebook and them kind of turning into a governing body where we no longer need the police to monitor, to handle people. It's all now, government centric, and everyone's tagged, and whatever you do, you're always watched. And she's a bioengineer trying to sort of find a cure for a debilitating brainstem disease. Unfortunately, Mainframe have other ideas for her work. And so it's kind of like her against the establishment. And I did it in a very interesting way where I love burlesque, and I decided to create, incorporate a bit of cyber burlesque, funk to it. She's a very sassy, potty-mouthed chick, and, so it kind of, unleashes her tongue. God, that sounds awful. I blame it on the wine. Hey, by the way, it's 3 p.m. in Manchester, okay? So
Ennis is hitting the wine already.
I'm not drunk.
But we still have time to get there.
Yeah,
Sure,
exactly. Wait
sure.
another hour, we'll talk.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the refill right now because it's getting a little low.
This might be a 3-hour program just so we get there now.
And we're going to pop Mr. Fish Lee up here on the screen. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm the amazing Mr. Fish Lee from Arkansas. I am the creator of T-Man and Hyperstrike. It's a all-ages friendly book about a superhero team. And let's see. Oh, over here. He is T-Man, the towering Titan of Tourette syndrome. And he has the combined strengths and ability of everybody in the world with Tourette syndrome, something that I personally live with. And that's his partner, Hyperstrike, and his equal partner, not his sidekick or his girlfriend or anything like that. I wanted her to be her own equal character in the book. And she has ADHD and has used her multitudes of energy to study all different forms of martial arts and become a martial arts expert. And she's an engineer and built this amazing suit that helps harness all of her extra energy to power her abilities and fight crime and save the day. And the whole book is really geared at helping kids with Tourette syndrome and stuff understand how awesome they are and focus on the things that make them awesome rather than focus on the tics that people might make fun of, and hopefully encourage them and give them something to hold on to be proud of themselves before the bullies beat them down and they grow up into many of the adults I've met with Tourette syndrome that are afraid to even go grocery shopping because they're afraid people are going to laugh at them or stare at them. Where I will walk down the store yipping and yelping and yelling out stupid stuff and just smile and wave and go on about my business because I'm not about to stay inside and not have fun just because my tics freak you out. So,
Yeah.
That's what my book's about.
That's awesome. And I wasn't sure if there was going to be a common theme, but there is. There's an empowerment and doing the right thing that I see in all 3 of these books. And I think that's pretty awesome.
I really enjoyed Rob's book. I've got it over by my chair. I've read it like 5 times.
Oh, yeah. You know what? And I'm waiting to actually meet up with Rob because we only live maybe an hour and a half away from each other. And so I have supported his Kickstarters and stuff. And I'm like, just hold on to it. We're gonna meet up. Mm-hmm. We're still waiting to do that. But
yeah, I have a box of goodies for Meredith right now. And it's 2020. So, I try not to go 5 miles from my house because I keep just expecting things to go wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I can just stay in walking distance, I'll be okay.
So, but I am gathering those all ages books because I've got a grandchild on the way, expected around Christmas time. So I'm really happy about that. And they are going to have a love of comic books if grandma has her word.
I just had my first grandbaby, like he's 3 months old now. And right now he likes my girlfriend better than me, but she's got bigger boobs and she'll carry him and pat him around and he just likes her better. Well, but as soon as he's old enough to wrestle and sword fight, Papa Fish is going to be the awesome one. But for right now she can have the snuggles, but
yeah.
I'm just waiting. I can't wait to read him comic play and shoot lasers at him and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and in fact, I had sent my daughter-in-law and my future daughter-in-law a copy of Ava with the backpack also. So they're like, oh, we love it. And my daughter-in-law, she surprised me. She's like, oh yeah, I used to go and get stuff like this all the time at the Comic Cons. I was like, you went to Comic Cons? Oh my God, I love you that much more.
It's brilliant. Thank you.
So now they have to post pictures so that we can say, hey, look what we got.
Yeah, I actually sent Timothy some biscuits and then all of a sudden, and he posted it on Facebook and everyone's complaining, why didn't they get biscuits in their order?
I saw that too, and that was the first thought I had. I was like, wait a minute.
Who comes with that? I didn't get on
She
there.
said
and
the
look.
Yeah, sorry, cookies. We call them biscuits here.
Oh, I know. Trust me. I know cookies in almost every language.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh no, there's a backlash.
That's what happens. Like, send chocolate. I mean it.
Yeah, no. And the good thing is they're arriving a lot sooner than I expected, because what happened was I posted off a bunch, and the guy at the post office said to me, by the way, you do realize with international economy, it takes up to 6 weeks. I was like, 6 weeks? Are you kidding me? And I'm like, and I'm watching these parcels just be taken away, and I'm just like, I can't stop it. It's already done now.
Yeah.
And it's a massive difference because, you're paying like £7 for international economy. But if you want to pay a standard, it's about £20. And, I couldn't afford to send it all standard. So people with multiple bundles, I would send it standard. And then, people with single bundles and, sort of the regular. But you know what I was finding out? The standard and the economy were arriving at the same time anyway. So I'm like, I think I've been shafted here.
It's crazy. And like I have shipped comic books to Ireland and gotten them there in 2 days, and then shipped something to England and it'll take like 6 weeks.
Really?
I'm like,
I've shipped things from
Why?
Florida.
I'm just
Florida
surprised,
to Georgia.
Meredith,
Florida to Georgia.
Go ahead, Ines.
Sorry?
You
No,
guys.
I was just saying I was surprised Meredith got hers so soon, so yeah, I mean, they say up to, so it could go by boat, it could go by plane, depends on how they're feeling. I think maybe the whole COVID situation has turned everything upside down.
That's messed everything up. Yeah.
Well, I for Cat Dad and Supermom, I shipped from Florida to Georgia. For those who don't know America very well, Florida and Georgia are drivable within 6 hours of each other.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They're right at the edge. There's Georgia, and it was a friend in Georgia, and I sent him as soon as I got it because I was so excited to get his feedback on it because he hadn't seen the print quality, and we were talking about the printer, and I was trying to promote the printer. So I'm like, you really got to check this out, dude. He's like, all right. I ship it to him. And the next day, I ship out everyone else's packages because I just got the one book. I literally did it while I was driving around with Jack, so I hand wrote it and all. Didn't even use the professional labels because it was a friend. Every other book that I sent out got there before him, including ones that went all the way to, like, I had a person in Canada, I had a person in Alaska. His book went from Florida to New York to California. I was watching it with him, and I'm like, I don't understand what they're doing. Do they keep dropping it? And I was like, is this
Oh,
something-
yeah. Like it'll
I'm
get
starting
lost.
to question your penmanship.
Maybe. It
That
could
was
be.
the real
Maybe
problem.
that.
That's what the real
Every
problem
time it shows up, where is that supposed to go? Throw it to California. We'll see if it goes there.
is. A Z or an 8 or yeah, that's the problem.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a little bit of love to the Legend of the Traveling Tardis. Christian Basil is a good friend. And then we're going to bring JD Calderon into the room and let him introduce himself. And then we'll continue on with Sunday Brunch. We'll be right back.
This is the Legend of the Traveling Tardis. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Also catch us on the HWWS Web TV YouTube channel. Subscribe today and become part of the legend.
And we're back. And we've got a new square in the room. Hey, JD.
How you doing, guys?
Doing good. We're going to put you on the big screen, let you introduce yourself.
How you doing, everyone? My name is JD Calderon. I'm the writer and creator of the Oswald Chronicles and Tall Tales Online. And you can find me on Facebook under JD Calderon and on YouTube under JD Calderon, where I interview independent creators. And currently, I have an IGG going on for this book right here. It's actually a limited series, 4 issues, Fallen Gods, featuring Oswald, an insane little sorcerer who fights insane gods and crazed sorcerers.
All righty. Hey, Rob, I'm going to pass the mic over to you because I need a top off on my coffee. And I'm actually going to be dropping links for these guys in the chat. So we've got we've got links to your Facebook, Ennis and JD. I've got links to your Indiegogo already. So we're going to be sharing that to our viewers and anybody who comes in on replay. Rob.
So we were just talking, I'm sure you saw, JD, we were talking about the perils of shipping in this new world of 2020 and how long it's taking things to get out and how amazing it is to watch tracking sometimes and your books disappear into the ether. Especially when it's international. It's like checked in at Florida and it's like 4 or 5 days until there's anything. And suddenly it pops up in another country. It's like magic. It's just, look, it's in England. Oh my God. And is there a moment for UNS where you're like, oh my God, my books are in America? Like, wow.
Yeah, I think when people starting taking pictures and sending me messages to say, wow, great product, it's kind of really, it's unnerving, but it's really nice to know that it's getting out there and people are receiving it and everything's fine. They're not, they're appreciate that I'm getting positive feedback. So it's brilliant.
Now I will say this. Ines has screwed me up for life. I always call it Iva now.
I'll call it what you want.
but I can say this, and I don't think that she's aware of this. Do you guys want to see some content that's going to make it to this week's show?
Sure.
The news.
Go for it.
Hey, check this out. Welcome to Mail Call. And no, this isn't some dating service to find men. This is where we open things that we get in the mail. I've got this package all the way from across the pond. Sometimes we'll know who sent it, sometimes we won't, but this one is a book I've been waiting for a long time. Great packaging. Let's see what we got in here. Oop, there we go. And here we go. And, ooh, I really dig this. I'm trying to be very, very gentle. And Ines, I think, forgot that I told her, because this is from Ines, I think she forgot that I told her not to send me all the books. I backed the publishing thing just so it could save her on money. So I'll have a few extra copies, and I'll make sure to give them out to anyone who wants to read this, just to get her work out there. Super thrilled to get this book. Came so beautifully done. And here is, look at that art. That'll definitely wind up in the background of our show. So this is from Ines, all the way from England. I can't wait to read this show, and you might even be getting a review out of me this week. So this is Iva, and this is a beautiful artwork. Absolutely love the imagery. So that was what was in today's mail call. So
Very nice.
that's going to be a new segment on the show. Obviously, you guys can see it was upside down in a moment. And I'm trying not to ruin anything because it's so nice. And usually, if there's no camera on, I'm ripping things open. And I'm like, no, be careful, Rob. This is how you damage things. This is why you can't have nice things. Be very careful. And I got to say, the art's actually behind me, and it's been behind me the whole time.
Oh, I can see it now. Oh,
Yeah.
That's so good.
I
I really love that print. It's really not. Yeah, I think I'm thinking of doing that as a variant cover.
You should do the American Kickstarter and do that as a variant cover.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I did tell you not to send me all the books. That's why
It's fine. It's fine.
We'll give them out. We'll do something specials to build up for you to get it out here. I think we might even run a contest. I'm going to talk to Meredith about it. But you know what's better than actually just, opening a box? Reviewing a book. Hey, everybody, here's my review of Iva in a New York Minute. So I just got this today, sat down this evening, got to read it. Beautifully illustrated story, tells an amazing story of a future that we might be heading to where a mainframe is watching our every move. It sets up a great series. I can't wait for the second issue. Everyone always asks me, was it well produced? Production value is great. Is it something that I enjoyed reading? Absolutely. And I did buy this off of the Indiegogo campaign, which is now in demand. Is it something that I suggest to other people? Absolutely. Is it something I have to own? Absolutely. It is written by Eskander, and Timothy Green II was the illustrator who brought this story to life. Amazing, amazing comic book. Go to the On Demand to get your copy right now. And you guys are watching the video of the actual crowdfunding campaign itself. And I'm going to show you some art that I got with the project right now. And this is amazing. Here you go. Check out that art. Sorry about the glare. There you go. How beautiful is that? That's going to wind up on a wall. And that's it. Go out and get your copy of Iva. It is worth the money, the time, and your fandom.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that review. Thank you.
Nice.
Great review. Thank you.
I'm going to start doing 1 minute reviews, New York minute reviews. So everyone.
I love that.
That's really
I love
good,
that
actually.
idea.
Yeah, it really gives you a flavor of,
Yeah, and it's about keeping it going, and I really appreciated the dedication that she put into this book. It sets up a great narrative for a future issue. It gives you just enough to wanting more, which is exactly what you want to do with the first issue. You don't get drowned in origins. You don't get drowned in this overdoing of what a lot of first creators do. Let me give them the whole story at first and confuse the hell out of them so they don't
Dump the whole world on them at once instead of let you discover it as you go along.
Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to do. She's kind of in this situation, and it's like, okay, how did we get to this? And I didn't want to overwhelm, I just wanted to sort of give a bit of an introduction to the world as we're going along with the story. I'm really excited I want to start working on the second one, but I still have 100 more to ship out. So let me show you my floor. Look at that.
I've been in the middle, and I have a 5-year-old, so it's like, Jax, this part of the house no longer belongs to you. You're not allowed to be in this part of the house. This part of the house is now in containment from Jax.
Right now, my phone is on top of a box of comic books, the last one I have that's not opened yet, to prop it up so it's at a good height. I have a shipping cart in the middle of my dining room now that has all these little drawers in it and stuff, so I can just pull the cart out and be like, okay, they get a comic book, a poster, a print, whatever they've ordered, slap it all together, put it in a thing, and get it ready to ship out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't show it to you because it would expose not only Anessa's address, but mine, and neither one of us want any of you knowing where we live. But they have such like an official looking postage stamp. I was like, did I win an award? I'm looking and I'm like, what just happened here?
Is it just the 2 big stickers?
Yes, but they're nice looking. Like we have the U.S. Post Office. That's like a giant, ugly barcode. The address written really small just to guarantee that your postman will actually put it in the wrong box. And usually it's been kicked into a mailbox or bent into it. So by the time we get it, it looks like a trash truck is given over it. Luckily, Anessa did the right thing. She used the right materials to ship it. They were protected perfectly. My mail guy actually had to get out of the car, and I'm sure the whole time cursing.
Oh, he loved that. Loved it.
Mailbox. They need bigger mailboxes so I can shove things in. Because I've had pictures of it just being shoved in. And it's like even a Gemini mailer I have seen where it's gotten grooves from the guy trying to jam it in.
Yeah, I had to go up a size. I mean, the good thing is it didn't affect the cost of the shipping. But I did have to go up a size because of that print. And I didn't sort of take it into account that I was going to end up doing that because there's a smaller one that's more perfect for a comic size. But anyway, it worked out for the best. It forces the postman to do the right thing and post them properly.
And the bubble wrap, let me give you a lot of credit. I think people skimp on bubble wrap. Bubble wrap is so important in that shipping.
I think it was down to the conversation that I had with you and Varian, and I remember watching him sort of getting some, parcels ready, and he was putting them in bubble wrap. So I thought, well, I better do what everyone else is doing because I do not want repercussions here. I don't want nerd rage on me.
That should be the name of the show, Nerd Rage.
Nerd Rage.
Nerd Rage.
I love it.
Oh,
So yeah,
waiting to catch some of that for something. I'm just
Nerd
waiting. You know
rage.
it's coming. I'm gonna step on a crack somewhere and make somebody.
Well, here's the question that has been going around for a while, since Berserker went on Kickstarter. And I'm curious to know how you guys feel about Keanu Reeves being on Kickstarter.
Hold
I
on.
backed it
Hold
for
on.
$2, but I backed it.
Let's ask Keanu. Keanu, what do you think of comics?
Comics are awesome.
Thank you, Keanu, for stopping in to CNW.
He always
and
shows up at the right
He's
time,
never
but then
too big to help out. That's what I appreciate about the guy.
It does my heart so good.
but he's always got to run. He's a busy guy. You guys got to understand. He's got things to do, so he doesn't have
There's a
time
lot
to
of
stick.
web shows he's got to be on, so he's got to hustle.
Right, I
Great
know.
timing.
So, what do we think about Keanu Reeves doing a Kickstarter? Personally,
I was actually watching the numbers
I don't
go
hate it.
just flow up, and I
that was
just sitting-
crazy. I've never
I was
seen
just
that.
sat
before.
there.
Like,
I was just
I've
sat
seen
there.
it make a jump, but I've never seen it roll like that. It just
Yeah, it
constantly
was
rolling. That
rolling.
was crazy.
And I was like, yeah, of course. Why not?
My only
Did you-
problem
I'm
was
not
it was
jealous.
so expensive to be able to back it to get any rewards that I was like, all right, I'm gonna back it for $2 just to be supportive. But I couldn't afford that much for a book. Even if it's a big book, that was a lot.
Yeah.
What-
I mean, was
what
there
is
any
it?
sense when you saw the role, though? Was there any sense of jealousy or anger or anything like that? I personally didn't see that. I was amazed, and I thought
I
that was
totally
pretty
wish
cool.
that was my Kickstarter. Like, I wish people were that excited about my Kickstarter, but I'm not mad at him for it, and it's a great platform to use to get the word out there, get people to send the money in and back it. And they're financing the book now, right? They're financing the whole production of several books. So, I mean, I don't knock them for using it at all. And it's definitely going to bring in more people, I think, to knowing that Kickstarter has comics, because I didn't even really realize until I was getting ready to start my comic that there were comics on Kickstarter, or I would have been backing them for years. So, like, when I was looking at starting my comic and how was I going to sell it, then I stumbled on somebody's video about doing Kickstarters on YouTube for their comics. And then I started checking it out and decided to go that route. Like, I had no idea it was out there. And since then, I've been backing all kinds of stuff. But, I didn't know. And this is going to get a lot of new people in, I think. I hope.
Mhm.
I don't mind people sort of who are like famous, doing these projects, but as long as there's like some genuine involvement in them, and rather than just kind of using their fame like as a vehicle to kind of get this, but they've hardly had any influence in it. So I'm not, I don't know. I've not actually read it or sort of looked into it, but I did see how the money was rolling, and I said, at the end of the day, I know he's a very creative guy. He's into music, and and I really sort of, I do like him. I still like Speed and sort of as
Bill
an
and
actor.
Ted.
Yeah, Bill and Ted. So I don't have any negative feelings towards him, but I think he's probably more like one of the like the genuine sort of people who wouldn't put anything out there unless he had some sort of genuine input into it.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a Bill and Ted story, but I'm going to let JD answer that question.
I mean, he hooked up with Matt Kindt, which is, I don't know if anybody knows who Matt Kindt is. He's an incredible writer. In my opinion, perhaps the best superhero writer that doesn't work at Marvel or DC. And I mean, he's probably well above most of the guys even there.
But he did work with them.
Oh, no, he has worked with them. He's not working with them currently. Yeah, I mean, he worked at Valiant for a long time, but once they changed over management, he moved on. But Matt Kindt's an incredible writer. And I think for me, that's the part that really means a lot, is that he's working with someone very, very credible. And, so we're going to end up, I think, with an excellent book in the end. And Fish, I want to ask you. So, how expensive was the book? Because I never actually got to. I never looked because I was like, I'll just order it when it comes out from Boom.
I think the lowest level was like $35 or $45 or something for like one book, and then it jumped up substantially to get like all of them. And now I think he's doing like big graphic novels, if I remember correctly. But I was like, man, $35. That's over my usual budget per month for backing Kickstarter books, and I'm not going to put that all into one when I could back, a whole bunch of different guys. So
I think because
especially
the average,
when he was already way past his goal. It's not like he needed my $35 to make it. So
it's not like he needed it from day one.
yeah, he was pretty well set. He was like $500,000 or something when I put my $2 in.
You're kidding! Oh my goodness. I mean, the average person, the person average spend is $20. So, your best tier is to get it in that $20 mark. If you, anything above that, it's going to be a bit difficult. So, I mean, that's the one to aim for.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I think it's a great thing because I think he's going to bring in a bunch of people that will hopefully hang around and buy other books. Yeah. And I think that's the part that'll benefit everybody. I think it'd be fantastic.
Hopefully.
And I think it's nice that, I mean, like it's like, I believe it's like a passion project, and it's a bit like Ryan Reynolds with Deadpool, that was a passion project for him, and he did everything he can to sort of to get it, sort of into production. So, I have, because the problem is now, big production companies are too scared to do anything new or crazy. And, it's nice to see sort of, the likes of, Keanu Reeves and, anyone else, just go indie and do their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's what I like about the idea of him using like a Kickstarter is they can raise the money to do the book exactly the way they want to do it. And they don't have to go to somebody else to look for the money, pay for production, and then have to deal with other people mucking it up, like movie executives all wanting to put their cents in, make it more friendly for the Happy Meal toys, and then you end up with a lame movie. It can be what they want.
It's the same in the fashion industry. You can be as creative as you want to do, but at the end of the day, it's the people in the suits that end up, kind of commercializing it, or they just water it down, and it becomes almost sterile. And what your big, wonderful plans and imagination had, to start out with, just completely, you think, why did I bother? We're doing the same.
It's going to get way dumbed down before it hits target.
And it's the people in suits that kill it.
Yeah, my big fear is that there's going to be a mad dash / gold rush from celebrities to come in and just cash in.
Oh yeah.
That would be. That would be sad.
That's why I say I'm happy if it's a genuine input, but if it's people just trying to cash in on their fame and have no actual involvement in the project, yeah, exactly. That's where I feel like it lacks a bit of integrity.
Yeah, and I think Ines is completely right here. A couple things to know. First off, it's already been tried. There have been other celebrities who have jumped into crowdfunding already and failed for those specific reasons that Ines is talking about. You see Keanu Reeves talking about the comic books. You're in love with him. You want to support him. You had the Expendables show up and no one cared because Stallone's out there asking for $300 autographs and people are taken back by that. But if you are going to get these celebrities that start showing up to make money, and again, you have to understand, as comic book creators, we're like jaws open and, oh my God, look at all this money. Celebrities look at that money like it's chump change because they don't get that. They're not going to give all that money. You have to understand the positioning of these. Will a Power Rangers actor do a Kickstarter? Absolutely. They've already done it. There's already been things they've tried. And I know that the guy who played Tommy, I forget his name right now, he's always trying to find a way to make his old fandom continue to grow and be, and to his credit, he's a very loud, energetic, very friendly person, like Ines is saying, like a Keanu Reeves. So you do like the guy, You're like, you were just a Power Ranger, but hell, you were really good at it. So go you. I think we have to have that lane open, but you're not going to see someone like Brad Pitt want to make a comic unless Brad Pitt wants to make a comic. You know who I want to see make the next comic? Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God. That would be crazy. So, you know what? I'd like to actually pop in another quick bump in here. And then when we get back, Rob, we had some. You had 5 things on ComiX Newswire yesterday, and I think one of them was virtual cons, whether they work or don't. And I would love to hear what these guys think about that. So, do you want to pop in something or?
No, do your thing.
All right, hold on. We'll be right back.
It's brunch.
Okay. At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more. And we're back with our special guests, and this is we're just trying this show out, guys. We don't know what we're going to do with it, but if you're tuning in or watching on the replay, let us know what you think. We might bring it back, we might not. I don't know. But Rob, so CNW last night, you had 5 things that were brought up. People were able to vote on what they wanted to talk about. Yes, the week ended. I love that. And so yesterday was Saturday, but that show is moving to Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a list of things that people can talk about within the comics industry. And I think they could add to the list if they wanted to, right?
Well, just ask us to cover it by dropping us an email at the ComiX Newswire. And I don't think I have the banner in here because I suck. But if you just go to comicbookadvocates.com, we actually have a mailroom built in there. But it's comicsnewswire@yahoo.com. But spell comics, COMIX, because we want to establish the fact that there are just more than just regular comics. For those who don't know, the IX represents the underground comics, where Ines would kind of be part of the underground movement just by her character, because her character's so underground and all that. She would be like, hey,
burlesque.
Yeah, let me tell you, there are definitely pages I spent a lot more time on than I should have. I definitely did that. But you can send us an email and we'll cover any story as long as it's positive, or if it is something of a warning. We will cover things that we're warning people about things, but we don't want to hear that some artist wound up not doing something for you or your personal dramas. Maybe one day we'll do a show called The Indie Court, and we'll have people judge and jury, but I'm not doing that right now. Give me till next summer.
That could be so much drama.
That would be that.
Would you wear, like, in the English courts where they wear the white wigs?
I would dedicate to it. I would definitely go out, get myself, and I would get a gavel.
And the robe.
But if you ever see the Minions movie where the Minion is slamming on the gavel when he's acting like that, that would probably be more me than anything else. I'd be like, out of order, get out of here. That's it, you're done. No one would ever win. Everyone would be in contempt of court. I'd be like, you will respect my authority. Like, it would be horrible. You can't give me that kind of power. Like, there's certain power you just can't give me. Making a judge, everyone to go to jail.
We've watched a few episodes of Judge Judy here, and they run an advert every 5 minutes, and it's like, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. So when the kids are like, really, so I need to tell them to shut up. It's like, I do the Judge Judy. It's scary.
So the question, I guess, is virtual cons. What do you guys think? Good, bad, ugly? I'd really love to hear your opinions on them.
I think, given the situation we're in now, they're ideal. So yeah. Do we have a choice?
I thought we were in one now.
No.
Is that not what we're doing here?
To be clear, a lot of us were doing this stuff before the pandemic, and a lot of us will continue to do this stuff after the pandemic. This is about supporting creators. This isn't trying to fill a gap. This is just regular programming for us. The CNW has been evolving for 5 years, and so has Geek Insider. And while, yes, there's a lot of exciting stuff now people are trying to put together. We're seeing a lot of new faces come into StreamYards, Zoom, OBS, and Facebook Lives. There are a lot of people who do this out of passion, out of desire. And I think, to answer Meredith's question, that's the difference. The reason people are doing it. When someone's doing it genuinely and opening the doors to help other creators, like Indie Vault does, like Geek Insider does, like Comic Book Advocates does. You have Pops who's out there making a show. He's doing a monthly show. You have that new Kickstarter that's a Comic-Con event. But then this is what I'll throw out there. It's not the indie side that actually makes me look down at online events. It's San Diego Comic-Con. It's Emerald City. It's New York Comic-Con not figuring it out. And to give credit where credit's due, DC Fandom has been the only one with a budget, had money. Remember, San Diego Comic-Con, rumor is, was given tens of thousands of dollars, if not $1 million. The numbers go back and forth from our government to continue to be a business, to sustain them throughout the COVID situation, as have a lot of these other cons who have gotten immediate emergency release funds. And what they have put out has been what we put out on our limited budgets, except we're live. We bring in the audience. We talk about comments. We get people to be excited, and we do this out of passion. And when you go to their things, they get these Hollywood people who you can tell are on a press junket. They're not being asked any questions. They're not being challenged. All the questions are pre-negotiated. It feels canned. And if I wanted to watch that, I would just watch Entertainment Tonight. I would just watch Extra.
Yeah.
Here's the one story that I've already prepared that it's fun to talk about. I'm going to let that go by. Don't ask me anything else because I ain't talking. It's no fun.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I'm sorry. We'll cut now. Let's get back in 10 minutes. And then you could literally see in some of the things the sun had changed in the room. So you knew they took a break. We don't take breaks. I mean, we take a break. I'm like, hey, Meredith, so tell me about that time in Mexico. And I'm running to the bathroom. And that's it. I'm in the bathroom. I'm peeing as quick as I can, washing my hands. I get back. So, yeah, the Mexico stuff.
That thing you said was awesome.
Yes, it's a lot more genuine.
Yeah, like I got Jax out there playing with an ant trap in the middle of one of my shows at one time. And I'm just like, so Chuck, tell me about the creative process behind your book. And behind the scenes, I'm frantically running around, washing his hands. I'm like, you didn't eat this, did you? Shaking him, tell me you didn't play with the ant trap. He's looking at me like, what's wrong with you? Why are you so crazy? I get him all cooked up.
I literally were on the other day with her birds chirping in the background. My dog is freaking out looking for these birds, trying to find them. And then she's looking out the window, and then she finally starts barking. I'm like, shut up. Trying to get her to come over here and pet her and, get her to quiet down. And she's looking for those birds that keep chirping.
I'm telling you, Geek Insider, we did our first virtual event in April. And it was exhausting because it was the first time that we were doing it. We were, trying to figure it out. Of course, StreamYard was new to us. So, it wasn't like now where almost everybody that I know has a StreamYard account or Zoom account, and they're doing these things. They're going live whenever they want to. But having that, and it was like hosting everybody. By day 2, it's kind of funny because I didn't realize it at the time, but you can get yourself off the screen and you're still on the bottom and people can see you. So unless you hit the stop cam, people are going to see you. And I'm sure if anybody walked in on day 2, I was like in between shows, like wherever I could, I was like literally like on my desk. I was like sleeping. I was like maybe drooling. I don't know. And it was bad. It was just like, okay, want to do it again, but not like that. So every event that we've had, we've done something different. We've invited more people. It's like, hey, you want to host a show? Good, because I need that hour. And it does. It makes it more genuine. And here's the thing. When people are bringing their own show under this banner event, they're comfortable. Then they get to take care of their guests and they have that flavor. And that's something that I want. I love that because you're not getting the same thing over and over and over again. After a while, that gets really boring, but you get another personality in there. You're not physically walking through a convention. You're not physically, meeting up with the tables and speaking to different people, but you're seeing something different. That's as close as we can get, you know, and that's something that I appreciate.
I think I was completely new to this and completely lost, and it wasn't until sort of I got introduced to, you know, sort of Indie and you know, all the various shows, and you know, through that I felt like I gained a family and sort of met people who are in the same position as I am, and I learned so much along the way. I mean, even the packaging, that was because, you know, I was going to send it a whole different way, and then I learned along the way, this is how you should do it. This is the expectation. And that support was like really good. And especially during a time, you know, like when I go to festivals, it can be really overwhelming. But when you do these shows, you meet people in bite-sized chunks and you get to know them. And it's like you grow a whole network of people that become like your family. So that, you know, and like you said, there is that genuine sort of kind of element to it where, yes, it's natural, it's spontaneous, it's not scripted, which is not what you're going to get if it's some big production show. So I totally get that, and I totally appreciate what you're saying, and I'd like to say thank you, because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for these shows, I wouldn't be getting the word out there for, you know, there's a comic called Ava, and you know, go support it if you really like it. Yeah, so it's been very helpful, and I absolutely recommend people going on it. Actually, I've spoken to Timothy, and he's got his work coming out soon, so I'm in talks with him to get him out of the shadows.
That would be cool. You know, the other question, I guess, is Fish. I'm not sure if you have. I know that JD and Ennis have participated in at least the indie events that Geek Insider, Indie Vault, and Comic Book Advocates has kind of coordinated with. Have you guys seen a difference, you know, whether it's building up your following or book sales? I mean, because at the end of the day, we want to sell books. That's why we want to do these things. Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't got to take part yet in any of that, but like I've seen a lot of them come across my screen that they were doing the online cons and stuff. But I was always so busy working on another book that I didn't take the time to watch as many as I wish I would. The computer that I work on, I just upgraded my computer system, and it doesn't have a speaker. Like, it really kind of threw me that it wasn't included. And then I got a nice speaker to go with it. I plugged it in, and my tablet doesn't work with the speaker plug. So I can either listen or I can work, and I got a kid to feed, so I work. But but I like it. I mean, like, that's the whole point. I was so excited to jump on and do this stuff to get the word out there, let more people know about my book, let more people, you know, more potential writers and stuff know that, hey, I'm available. You know, I'm gonna have some openings coming up pretty soon. If you want your book brought to life, I'm your guy. And my prices are pretty cheap because I live in Arkansas and it's not that expensive to live here. Maybe not as cheap as some of the guys in the Philippines or Mexico, but yeah, pretty low. And I'm fast. So, you know, it works out good.
JD, did it move the needle for you at all?
I think it has. And like I said, my big thing is just trying to grow a firm fan base that will always be there for me. And I think I've had it at Kickstarter for a while, and it's starting to grow on Indiegogo. And I think that's where that's where I have room for improvement, and that's where the area I'm working on. And I see it because I'm getting messages from people, and they're asking me about the tiers that I have and how they can add a bunch of other stuff onto it. And I'm like, okay, so that's the right direction to be heading in. So, but yeah, I think the needle has been moving, and I think it'll continue to move as Indie Vault grows. I think all of us will grow.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob, what about you? Because you do participate, and you do have a book on demand.
Yeah, but you know I'm horrible with promoting myself. I don't do this stuff for self-promotion, and I should a lot more, and I know I do. Like right now, I'm trying to share out this video so we can get more people involved. That's just what I am, and behind the scenes, I'm already working on next week's comic book Advocates new setup for next week. We're redoing the comics newsroom. So I'm always doing this for a legacy because I want to build something that helps the next generation of creators that come after me be more successful and easier than I had it coming up. Because unlike anyone else, I don't see them as competition. I see them as the beautiful leaders of the new creative world. And they're going to give us things that we never thought of before. So I want to make the pathway. I saw the forest and I started knocking down all the trees to make sure that everyone could ride on the same roads that I was making and making them super highways. So I always look at it differently. I don't look at it on a sale base. I look at it what happens next. When we put out a QRC code and we start seeing all the other shows doing QRC codes. When I do a show called Back Applause and I see other people now paying more attention to crowdfunding because they think covering crowdfunding is exciting and fun. When we do the news and you see these other shows taking the articles that we have and talking about them, that tells me that there is success. That tells me that what I'm doing is working. I mean, for those who don't know in the room, I canceled the Devil's Advocate. Well, not canceled. Cancel's the wrong word. I have mothballed the Devil's Advocate. The reason I mothballed the Devil's Advocate is because we got on the show and it became an echo chamber. And I hate echo chambers. I can't learn in an echo chamber. When too many people in a room tell me I'm right, I know I'm in the wrong room. And I know that either the show's not working or we've just gotten to a point where the show has ran its course and maybe it can't be a weekly show. Maybe it needs to be something that's a special when something comes up and someone will really be passionate on the other side of it. Because I think when we have civil discourse, there's something beautiful that comes out of it. And I can't have that when everyone in the room is agreeing with me. And I can't have it. Me and Meredith have talked about this. If someone tries to, and even me and JD talked about this, when someone tries to take the opposing view just to take the opposing view, I'll steamroll over them. Because they're not going to be passionate and they're going to back down the minute I start pressing hard.
They don't have real reasons for it. They don't really care about their side of the argument. They're just taking it to take it. And that's easy to beat.
Yeah, and I'm from New York, so I push back. Not even intentionally sometimes. It's just how we were raised. Ask a question, follow up, quick talk. I had to learn. If you go back to the original videos that I did, I spoke a lot faster like you do in New York. I have that quick New York, let's go, like the New York Minute. That's more my speed. When I'm talking to someone and I'm not paying attention, I'm sure Meredith has seen this. When I stop paying attention, I start speaking faster because I'm trying to get the information out as quick as I can so I can move on to the next project. And even now I'm doing it without realizing that I've started to speed up because I'm taking too long to talk and it's already starting. Okay, pass the mic. No one wants to hear you, dummy. So, Ines, what do you think?
In contrast, I talk really slow.
You know what happened is yeah,
go on.
I was going to say I was the co-anchor with Rob on Monday for the Comic News Wire, and he was excited and he kept on speaking faster, and then I was feeding on that energy and I was talking faster, and by the end of the show I was like, all right, I need to take a breath. Hold on a second.
It's always a danger.
It's also the ADHD. So New York and ADHD is not a good combination.
But Anna, I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
No, I was going to say, it's nice once in a while when people do agree with you, because I'm in a world where everyone disagrees with me. And when you get it all wrong, they're the first to point their finger, but then if you listen to them, and you've made mistakes based on what they've told you, no accountability whatsoever.
Oh, do I know that, Ines? And I have a sister, so don't get it wrong. I know that there's someone out there who's going to tell me I will be on a show, and if it's like I'm in my car, she's like, nice way to leave your windows down. It's real easy to hear you over all that wind. Like I get instant commentary. I did a show, and Ines knows this, and Meredith knows. So my AC broke for the day. It's hot. It's 105 degrees outside. It's time to do and I'm very big with. If I say I'm going to be somewhere, I try my hardest to be there. I'm a person who delivers what I say I'm going to do. I think our word is really important. If I have to back out for a reason, it's good. An air conditioner being broken is not a good reason. So I'm walking around my house sweating, and I'm like, I'm not putting on a shirt. So I put on a shirt, there's just going to be sweat marks all throughout it. The house is at 90, I think it was 88 or 89 degrees, about to hit 90 degrees. So I'm like, screw it. I printed out a list because it was so hot I didn't want to have the computers on because it's not good at those temperatures in your house to run your computers. Pick up my phone and I'm reading a list. I don't have a shirt on. I got teased. I got teased by male friends more. I was sexualized by my male friends. But when my sister saw that video, so we're not taking comic books serious anymore, huh? It's a joke. You don't want to come off as a professional anymore. I was like, and it was
It was way too seriously and had to get naked.
I was like, and people were having fun with it. She's like,
no, and it was so funny, Rob, because as much as Ennis and I were teasing you, the comments on your Facebook page were for mostly the guys.
offering to throw me money, which yes, I did take. Absolutely, if someone offers me money, I'm going to be like, okay.
Yeah, I remember commenting. He's like, I'm hypnotized by the nipples. It's like the way they're moving as he's talking. I've completely forgotten what's being said, but this is good.
And there's literal sweat dropping onto the phone as I'm talking.
Oh, good.
That can only happen live, though. That's the whole experience that a lot of these virtual cons don't get. It's that humanity, because when you polish it,
that's what they don't get.
I don't know. Sometimes editing is required.
What's that?
Sometimes editing is required. In some situations, I'm just saying, once in a while, maybe just a little bit, just a tad.
JD's just intimidated by the guns.
I like the novelty. It was a break from the norm. You know what routine?
I had to put something over the nipples, like little smiley faces. Is that what you need to do?
There you go.
I'll send you some burlesque nipple tassels.
You do. I'll do a whole show. I will do a show with just those on, and we will see the type of viewership we do. I don't know if I can get them to swing. I'll try. I'll try to go back and forth, see if I can get that momentum going. I know JD will not watch. JD will be like, click, unsubscribe, block.
Next thing you know, you'll be making more money from your OnlyFans page than you are from anything else.
I'll be like, does anyone see JD? He disappeared.
Yeah, was it something I said?
Hey, don't knock OnlyFans. Cosplayers had to go somewhere.
I'll side with your sister.
See? JD's one of those critics. But when he's agreeing in the room, it's not as much fun. If JD does have an opposing view, and some of it just comes down to a combative show like that needs topics. And I'm not going to talk about ComiXgate every weekend. I just don't want to. I don't want to. And there's also a moment where you kind of look at it like, wait, am I helping people who are making negative comments get press? And when you start to feel like you might be drawing attention to things that you wouldn't want attention drawn to, you start to worry if you're
just stirring up more trouble and drama rather than actually talking about the subject, And
I've really loved what we've done with the Comics Newswire. I love promoting people like Ines, having her on, talking about it. Because we did that show the other day where we were talking about her fulfillment. And we were actually a deep dive into how she was doing it and all that. And that was fun. When JD's come on the show and we talk about comic book creating, especially in the format, because our news program's an hour, there's an excitement that you now have an hour. A lot of these online shows have just gone on. Sometimes you're like, and I've been on shows that I've hosted, and I'm like, this should have ended 45 minutes ago. We're getting stupid because we've been on too long. And, once you're at a 3-hour mark, a 4-hour mark, people do start getting like a little loopy, and they're just, because you're trying to be guarded. And that's the whole point of this live thing, is that you're waiting for someone to put their guard down for 5 seconds to see that unpolished person. And it happens at Comic-Cons. That's why we go to panels. We're not going to panels to see someone. Yeah, that's cool. We want to see them make a human moment. Not a mistake, but a human moment. Here, I'll talk about something. I was at a panel where the guy who played Penguin in Gotham, and I know you have to take a bump after this, Meredith. The guy who, I don't know his name, but the actor who played Penguin in the Gotham TV series told us that the day that his on-screen dad died and they filmed it happened to be the same dad his real life dad had died, and he just found out. Literally a half an hour later, he filmed that scene. And I was like, wow. I mean, you wouldn't have known that if you hadn't gone to that convention. I was able to be there as press for the Orlando. It was a charity event for Orlando after the shooting that we had here. And it was amazing. And I put it online, and people have really resonated with it. I think it's got like 5,000 views. It's one of the most beautiful moments that you wouldn't see anywhere else but at Comic-Con. But go ahead, Meredith, take us to a bump.
Well, I just wanted to make sure, because we're reaching an hour, are you guys okay to hang out for a little bit longer?
Yeah, I can hang out for a little bit.
right. So let me just.
You also need to give Ines time to refill the wine glass. So.
Okay, so this is about a 30-second bump, so you got it right now.
Check it out. MobileEdge.com has award-winning products with innovative features and contemporary, edgy designs that empower you to look sharp and travel smart with your mobile tech. Your beloved, not to mention expensive gaming gear and mobile tech devices, are an extension of you, so give them the protection and style they deserve wherever you go. Find them at MobileEdge.com and protect your tech with Mobile Edge. Bring it on. Hey Geek Insiders, Mobile Edge has a special coupon code for our dedicated listeners. Get 25% off your Mobile Edge gear using coupon code GEEK25. That's GEEK25. Geek out.
And that's Geek25. Geek.
Just made it back.
25. And you know what? If it's okay, I'd like to play Be a Pair.
Go for it.
Be a pair.
Be a pair. Be professional. Be ethical. Be authentic. Be respectful. Remember, in this industry for comics, be a pair. Art provided by Chris Mad. Look up Chris Mad Art on Facebook today.
Yeah. That's what it's all about, being authentic. Let's be real. Rob, what was another thing since we're tying in Comic Newswire today? What was another topic that something about the Mandalorian?
Well, I mean that the Mandalorian's coming out on October 30th, and I mean we all know that we're gonna the indicators right now. And I love Halloween. I want you to understand the biggest part of my year, and I'll be honest. New York Comic Con is my Christmas. Everything about this industry, that is Christmas. That is re-education for me. That is the moment I look for. My calendar ends with New York Comic Con. Like most people's calendar ends at Christmas, and then they have kind of a vacation between it, and then on New Year's they start over again. So New York Comic Con is my Christmas, and Halloween is my New Year's Day. So October has always been this very important month. We, of course, lost New York Comic Con. It'll be virtual. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. Now we're hearing that we're losing Halloween. I've got some good news for you guys. On Devil's Night, you can watch The Mandalorian season number 2. Those who haven't checked out The Mandalorian, it's a throwback to classic classic Star Wars storytelling. It's amazingly done. It's the guy who started, and a lot of people don't know this. If you like the MCU, the dude who had the idea and started it is literally the dude restarting the Star Wars franchise, and he's actually going to be put in charge of it. Lucas is coming back, I hear, in a producer role, not necessarily in charge. They're giving it to the guy, and I can never say his last name. JD, can you say his last name?
Favreau.
Favreau, thank you. I always screw it up. Like Favelo or something. So he's amazing, and he played Happy in Iron Man. So that's pretty exciting. We get to find out more about where Baby Yoda came from. We're actually going to find out where Yoda's from, and we might actually get a name for the creature that Yoda is, because we've only seen 2 Yodas, and we only call them Yodas because we don't know what else to call them.
3.
Well, until the baby. The baby's the key to it now, and we're being implied that it's a clone somehow. For those who haven't watched it, a little bit of spoilers there. It sounds like he might be a clone of actually Yoda, by the way. That's the theory going around. This is actually, so technically it would be 2 in my mind, because it's Yoda reborn.
There was another in one of the was it prequels? In one of the, when you see the Jedis, there's like one other of his species there.
That's right. I forgot.
You gotta really look, but they're there.
Are you talking about the female?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was counting that. I count the Baby Yoda and Yoda as one person right now.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You could also technically be reborn. According to one of the books, a Jedi can cause themselves to also be reborn. I don't know if anyone knew that. But the math doesn't make sense, because they say he's 60 years, and it can't be 60 years between the 2 things. So now you have to wonder if he's a clone of Yoda, or if Yoda himself was, he was out there, out in the town, drinking a little too hard.
Doing what 900-year-old Yodas do, Yeah.
Suddenly there's a Baby Yoda. And what does he do? He goes into hiding. We now know why Yoda was hiding. It had nothing to do with the Empire. It was
he's
actually
running for child support. That's what he's doing. I love the Baby Yoda in that, and I've loved the Mandalorian so much. The only thing that kills me about it from like a story writer's perspective is you can't ever really see him grow up because, I mean, if he's 50 years old now and he's still nonverbal and barely getting around, you know, by the time he's old enough to like communicate and stuff, you would have to have such a big time jump. The Mandalorian's not going to be there anymore because he ain't going to live that long. And
Unless a wormhole.
something. I mean, I'm sure they could do something, but like, you know, if it's going to work organically, you know, the show ain't going to last 50 years till he grows up old enough to be talking and walking, you know.
Unless there's some kind of weird, they introduce some kind of weird catalyst that'll make him grow.
Well, remember, I don't know if you guys know this, but something to do with gravity on a planet actually speeds time up. They had dealt with it. I can't think of the name of the movie off the top of my head, but it was, I think, Interstellar.
Yes, it's Interstellar.
Okay, Interstellar, yeah. Where if you go on a planet with a heavier, denser gravity, you could spend an hour on that planet, but when you leave that planet, the outside universe is aged 20 to 30 years. So all you'd have to do is drop a Baby Yoda on there for about a day, have him come pick him up, and suddenly he's like a teenager.
Actually, you'd have to leave him on the ship and you go down for an hour and then come back and he'd be
yeah. There you go.
But if he had to go get a bounty on that planet, that would explain him suddenly being a teenager when he comes back.
You guys
if
have
he can
put
survive
a
that
lot
long on
of
the
thought
ship by
into this.
himself.
I'm a geek. I love that. The fact that you can go on a planet
exactly.
age is amazing to me. I mean, think how cool that is. If I could have a teleporter right now and just go to a different planet for an hour and come back and it's 15 years later, I could be like, JD, you look so old.
I'm still beautiful.
You know, and I'll look young. Like, you'll all be impressed because I'm like 70 and I'm just like, you know, looking good.
Rocking it.
Then I'm dating an 18-year-old and getting real trouble. He looks like he's 40. He's dating an 18-year-old.
All you got to do is go to that other planet for like 30 seconds, come back. She's plenty old enough. No problem.
Whoa.
Oh, dangerous territory.
Not touching that one.
I've
No.
been getting no end of jokes from my kids. They have been just mercilessly attacking me with jokes. And some of them are really funny, but my fiance is like 9 years younger than me. And so I'm constantly getting jokes like, so like when she was born, you were going through your first midlife crisis, huh, Dad? Dude, it's 9 years. It's not like 90. But, you know.
Well, the older we get, it doesn't matter, you know?
Exactly. Like at this point, it's not a big deal. 20 years ago, yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah,
right
that
now,
was a big
it's not
deal.
You just have, you know what it is? It's just jealousy. It's like, I can't help it that I'm happy and you're not, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So what?
Oh,
Hey, I mean,
I've got a cute young girlfriend. Oh, I'm going to feel so bad about that. Oh, darn.
and thank you, Demi Moore and Cher, for giving every guy the counter argument. You guys are awesome. Well, if it's good for Cher, it's good for me.
What else did we have on the news wire yesterday, Rob?
We had the topic that is talent enough? Is talent enough?
That's a
was our
good
top
one.
story yesterday. Is talent enough to get us to where we need to be as creators? Just our talent.
If I may jump in, because this is the one I have. Because here's the thing, is it requires hard work. Regardless, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't apply hard work, you're never going to get anywhere, and that's a fact. Arthur Adams, go look at Long Shot from 30 years ago. It looks good, but look at what he's doing now. He's put in that work. You understand? I mean, you can still see the semblances of what he was in his work now, but what he is now is 100 times what he was back then. That's hard work. And Rob, I have a bone to pick with you.
Okay.
You had said that artists have it easier than writers, and that discount. I live with an artist.
The quote I said.
Go ahead.
Artists have an easier time getting exposures because they can just draw something and put it out for the world to see, while a writer has to be behind creating and actually create something. They can't just tell you what's in their mind, is the quote out we were talking about. Just for context. But still, go ahead.
I got you. But the thing is that sometimes we forget the amount of time that an artist spends by themselves creating those things, because I live with an artist and I'm going to work and my wife is home and I can't even tell you how many hours she's slaving over layouts, design work.
Yeah, but that doesn't have to do with exposure. We were talking just exposure, easier to see.
It takes
I
time.
completely agree with you on that. But I could also make the argument, I can tell you so many writers who have spent decades perfecting one story. Decades.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a fact. There are definitely guys out there who spend years, working, slaving over one novel.
I mean,
they're usually, hopefully, fantastic.
Well, Fish, Fish, you were going to say something about that.
I mean, it definitely, like, there's a lot of time involved in the artwork. There's a lot of time involved in the writing. Like, people look at me whipping out drawings super quick at a show and they're like, oh, you're so talented. I'm like, dude, this is 40 years of hard work and study. Like, I have put in time for this to be so quick and look so easy. And, this is, I hate when people just write it off as like God-given talent, because like, I was a little bit better than the other artists in kindergarten. Everything after that has been hard work, study. It wasn't easy to get here. But after I put in that time, like if I put 12 hours in on a page and I post that on Facebook, like you can see it like that and be like, oh, that's cool. Look at the action. Look at the muscles. Look at the fire. Look at the giant explosion. And, but if I spent like the same amount of time writing a story and I posted that on Facebook, that's going to take you 10 minutes to read. And as you're scrolling through, a lot of people are going to scroll past that story where they'll stop and get a thumbs up and go on. It takes 1 second to say, oh, that's cool artwork. It takes a bigger investment. And that's harder to get a stranger to look at and invest 5 minutes in reading than it is to glance at a picture as you go by, And
that kind of goes along with the idea of the overnight success. No, they weren't an overnight success. They just happened to be, I don't know, trending one day and got noticed.
It took 20 years of hard work to become an overnight success one day.
Yeah. It's so frustrating. Okay. You know what? I wanted to let people know that I have been adding your links to the social, for your social media, your websites, if you've got a crowdfund and things like that. So StreamYard is acting a little kooky because some of these links are not going to where they're supposed to be going. So Rob, if you've noticed, I've been adding these links on your Facebook. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, there's something up with Facebook too. Somebody just said that Facebook's not online. I just saw someone post, hey, can anyone see this? And I just told them, yeah, there's been problems since this happened, actually. 2020 has not been the most stable year for the internet and that, but we're still here. That's why we record these shows, for prosperity. If you guys are kicking out, you guys can come in and check us out later. We're going to continue to do the show because I like this kind of conversation. It's just hanging out with friends and having no alternative motives, but just talking about comics. It's something everyone in this room loves. We love comic books, talking about creativity. I mean, we have a fashion designer with us today. We have someone who's made how many comics, JD, are you up to? Like 27,000?
Wow.
Well, yeah, I'm like I said, I'm 1,000 pages in.
He's not even like that. Not a joke. Not even kidding with you. He's that much into creating comics. Fishly's got an amazing story, which we really haven't talked enough about. Well, why don't we take a few minutes and talk about that for this next hour and bring you up on the screen? And what I want to know is, you told a story on Indie Vault about running into a kid and explaining to the parents about their kids and how being diagnosed it's not a death sentence for children.
Oh no, man. I'm constantly running into new parents and stuff online because I'm always cruising through the Tourette syndrome forums and stuff. And there's always new parents that come in and they're like, oh my goodness, my kid just got diagnosed. What am I going to do? And, and I'm always like, congratulations, your kid is awesome. And I mean, Tourette's can be hard, but like I explain in the book, T-Man is tapped into the T-Force, which is the cosmic energy that, goes all throughout the universe. And all of us that have Tourette syndrome are tied into this cosmic T-Force. And this energy is what makes us brilliant and creative and makes us amazing musicians and actors and artists and drummers and all this cool stuff. It makes us great athletes. And it honestly does give us like really fast reflexes, and our minds run really, really fast, and we constantly got new ideas coming. It makes us very creative and makes us touch very, very fast. But it also, like in the book, I explained that the tics that we have are our body's way of burning off all that extra awesomeness that's coming out of us. And so, yeah, people might stop and stare a little bit, but they stare at fireworks too because they're awesome. And I really wanted to focus the kids on all the things that make you so cool. Like, you know, this is why you're so creative. This is why you might be really good in math, or you might be the best artist in school. And the whole book is really like, I rewrote this book completely like 4 times before I finally hit on a script that like actually made me cry. And I was like, okay, this is the one we're doing, because I kept making it like a generic superhero introduction story. And I spent like 20 pages introducing the characters and showing who they are and what they can do and all this stuff. And then tried to tie in this little girl that the story is really about. And I had like 2 to 4 pages you can't make anybody care about this middle school girl in that kind of time. So I ended up rewriting it to where, honestly, in this first issue, T-Man and Hyperstrike are more side characters in it, and it focuses more on the evil scientist and this little girl. And he's so tired of being beaten by T-Man because he's so powerful that he decides that he's going to steal this T-Force energy from somebody. So he finds this little girl in middle school who's been bullied and picked on, and, you know, she's tired of being different, and he makes her this necklace with this crystal, and it sucks all of her extra energy out of her, and she's normal now. And that seems great at first. And he uses it to power some of his monsters, and his monsters get too big. But the little girl realizes quickly that now that all this extra energy's gone and everything that made her special has been taken away, she's no longer the smartest kid in math class, and she's not the most creative girl in art class. And her friends are worried because she doesn't act like herself anymore. And they get really mad at her when she said that, you know, she wanted to be normal. And they're like, but you're awesome. You are who you are. This is what makes you cool. And the whole thing is really just come out of a love passion that I have for encouraging people. And I, in some ways I was unlucky, in some ways I was really lucky, because I didn't get diagnosed until I was 30. So I spent most of my life not knowing what was going on. But at the same time, I didn't have this label stuck on me when I was a kid that I have an incurable neurological condition that's never going to go away. That's a lot of pressure to put on a kid. And then I got really involved in the online groups, and I start meeting all these people and all these adults that like have given up on life. A lot of folks, you know, and I feel for them. I'm not judging them. I feel for them. But so many of them got picked on so mercilessly in school that now they're terrified to have a job, or they won't go grocery shopping, or they won't go outside because, you know, they're afraid people are going to pick on them and laugh at them the way that they did in school. And that bullying really can cause some serious long-term scars. And, you know, we would go to a convention or a meeting or something, and at the time my Tourette's was really severe. I was not doing as good as I am now, and I'm in a wheelchair, and I can only like see out of one eye, and I'm twitching and drinking, and I can barely speak. And one of the lovely things about Tourette syndrome is we set each other off. So like if you're standing in front of me ticking, I'm going to start ticking, and then you're going to tick louder, and it just keeps steamrolling. But like I would be in the room with these people, and they'd be telling me, you know, how, you know, they can't go shopping, they can't have a job or any of this stuff. And like I'm thrashing around in my wheelchair wildly the whole time. I never see them tick once. Like if you can be that stable in front of me, like there's no reason you can't go to the grocery store. But it's in their head that, you know, they can't do it. I met a kid that was 19 years old, and he was already living in government housing. He was on disability, and he's like, you know, I can't have a job. I can't have a wife. I can never have kids. You know, my life is over at 19. And he blinks a lot, and he cusses a couple of times a month, which is actually, you know, not the majority for Tourette's. Most of us don't swear. It's a smaller percentage, but it gets lots of attention in the movies. And it was really heartbreaking for me that this kid had given up on his life already. and he had it so easy. I'm like, dude, you can drive. Like, I only had, when I'm talking to him, I've got like one thumb that I can work on the phone and one eye I can see out of. I can't speak. I haven't been able to feed myself or anything all day, but I'm online encouraging this kid. I'm like, dude, you can drive. You can do anything you want to do, man. You can go out anywhere you want and get a job. You know, like, so if you cuss a couple of times a month, man, I've worked in lots of places where the guys in the warehouse are cussing up a storm, man. Get in there and have fun, man. Live your life. But his dad thought he was broken when they got the diagnosis when he was a kid. And so he's broken. And there's no point in trying. There's no point in doing anything. And it broke my heart. And as much as I try to encourage people and inspire and uplift and all that stuff, it's hard to undo like 20, 30, 40 years of programming that somebody's got in their head. So I decided the best thing I can do, and well suited to my personal skill set, was to try and do a comic book and reach out to kids when they're young and try and get a little bit of inspiration in there to focus on how awesome you are. And I mean, it's a small thing, but it's really been cool. I did not expect the response that I got from kids. And now, like, I've shipped this book out all over the world now, and, you know, and got messages from kids from England and Australia and New Zealand and India and all over the place. And, you know, the response I've gotten from kids about the book has just been amazing and heartbreaking. And, you know, some of the whole thing that he uses the combined strengths of everybody. And like, I've included pictures of some of the Kickstarter backers, kids and friends and people with Tourette's in the background when he's using the combined brilliance and creativity of everybody with Tourette's. There's real people in there. When he's using the combined strength of everybody with Tourette's, there's real people with Tourette's in the background that he's drawing strength from. And to get letters from some of these kids talking about how excited they are because they saw one of their ticks, you know, come out of T-Man's mouth, and, you know, that they were actually helping him save the day, was just amazing. And some of them just absolutely brought me to tears, weeping like a baby. And I designed it to be encouraging. I didn't expect it to have such a big impact on some of the kids, and that was really amazing and really humbling, and, you know, really helped me realize that there was more to it than just a fun book. One of the stories I heard that really broke my heart was, and I hate to share it, but there was one kid that used to love my cartoons, and that I did about my life with Tourette syndrome and just all the silly things that, you know, happen and stupid things that I say. And, you know, it was just funny. So I did these little cartoons as a challenge. As I was starting to get a little bit better, challenge myself, see if I could keep up with regular work. And, you know, doing a cartoon every day seemed like an easy way to do it. And, you know, he was a fan of my stuff and loved it. But the bullying and stuff became too much for him, and he took his life like a month before my book came out. And not like my book would have necessarily changed anything, but it really sunk into me just how important this encouragement is, and just how important it is for there to be some of us out there that are trying to be a positive voice and tell you that you're awesome. And, you know, yeah, the kids on the bus might make fun of you, but you are awesome, and you're smart, and you're creative, and you've got so much potential. And maybe we have to do things a little bit differently than other people have to do sometimes, but that doesn't mean that we can't do them. And, you know, yeah, I had to use crutches for a long time. I was in a wheelchair for the better part of a decade, but I could still get out. I still go to Silver Dollar City, and I still go to conventions and stuff. And actually, when you're zipping around in a wheelchair, people get out of your way really quick. So, you know, and I could just plow through the Comic Cons, and I get to the front of the line at rides and stuff. It's not all bad. And, you know, and it's made me so creative, and it's made me so compassionate and kind and merciful and understanding, and made me stronger than I ever would have been without it. And it makes my brain run so fast and be so creative. And I wouldn't know how to live life without it now. And, you know, I'm awesome, and I like me, and, you know, I like what I've done in the world, and I wouldn't want to change that. And if I can do anything to help anybody else feel the same way about their Tourette's, or not just their life in general. I've been really surprised how many copies I've sold at cons to people that had no connection to it at all. Like the first con I went to locally, I just did as a trial just to see if anybody else would be interested in it. And I sold out of the books I took, and only 2 of them, like one went to a family with Tourette's, one went to a special educator that had dealt with kids with Tourette's. Everyone else was just average people that thought the story looked awesome. And that's cool, because that was also my goal. Like I wanted it to be a cool book that anybody could enjoy. And so that's my ranting.
And sorry, Meredith. Yeah, Meredith has some stuff to show off, some coolness to show off.
Ooh, all right. So if anybody is watching, and especially if you are on the replay, I've got some QR codes here. So make sure that you have your screenshots ready, get your phones ready, and these are going to be directed to, I want to say, Fish, because you were up first, I'm going to put this up here. This is going to your Facebook page because that's where you're selling your books.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've got a shop on there, and you can order books, posters, T-shirts, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you know what? And hold on a second. Let me just pull the logo here, just so that people can see the whole image.
It's a wonderful picture of me, by the way.
That picture. That's why I picked it.
On my walk in the rain one morning.
You know what? That's the thing. It's like it's kind of funny. When my parents owned a bar, we were in like this really terrible neighborhood, very terrible. And we never feared walking the streets because people just assumed we were damn crazy. And and so we were always left alone. So, I just, when I'm out and I don't feel like being bothered by anybody, I put on a little crazy. But, I don't have Tourette's, but I was assessed with Asperger's in my mid-30s too. So I kind of relate to you, Fish, in a lot of ways where I had
everything
to kind of
makes so much more sense.
and I had to suck it up. I had to be like, I had to find coping mechanisms and things because I wasn't going to hide away. And at the same time, I'm fine. I don't want anybody thinking that I'm broken. Maybe I'm a little odd. Maybe I don't understand things a lot of times. And it took, I'm nearly 50. It took all this time to figure out the, body language.
Reading social cues and stuff like that was so tricky.
It took me a really long time. So now I'm kind of assimilated. Sometimes I still don't get the human beings. I think you're all.
Oh yeah, like I will totally miss things. I will totally miss clues. It'd be nice to go on a vacation, to Italy. Yeah, that would be nice. It never occurred to me that you actually wanted to go to Italy. I will not catch that. But that was the nice thing about not getting diagnosed until I was 30. Like I already knew how awesome I was. I already knew that I was a better artist and that I was a good friend and that I was generous and I'm a talented carpenter and all these other things that I was good at. I wasn't a kid trying to figure out who I am with this thing stamped on me that feels heavy. And and anymore, every kid just about that gets diagnosed with Tourette's also gets Asperger's or autism spectrum disorder. And then they like to break the tics down into all these different categories. So where I will repeat things that I hear, that's echolalia. And it just feels like by the time you name off, give a diagnosis for 7 different types of tics and Asperger's and Tourette syndrome, now, instead of just having one thing wrong with you, you've got 15 things wrong with you. And that's a lot of weight to put on a little kid. And, I just,
for me, I just say it's my superpower. It honestly is. I've taken the thing that I'm good at and not just the one thing. There are several things that I'm very good at. And I'm like, that's my superpower. Everything else, that's my, that's my Clark Kent to my Superman.
Oh, the OCD comes in real handy doing comics because I remember every little detail about the costume and I had gotten 8 pages in on this one story and realized that the reference material that I had missed these little bitty belts on the side of 5 Star. And, and the guy that hired me for the book was like, well, it's okay. I was like, no, it's not okay. I missed And I went back to all 8 pages, every frame, and made sure that I put those little side belts in because, you know, OCD. I can't send something out knowing that I didn't do it right. And, you know, and they love me for that.
I so totally get that. And it's nice to be a part, you know, with other people who have that. Because I'm like, you know, oh, yeah, but it's like millimeter.
Mhm.
And they're like, normal people can't see it. Yeah, but I know it's there.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the hardest part. I'll be honest with you. Meredith had brought me a review show, and she's like, "Can you do a review?" And I'm like, "I'm going to start doing assessments." I didn't realize how much I see things until I sit down and I try to assess it like a manager. When I start looking at comic books, I'm like, they're all wrong. There's so many things inside that are wrong. And then the first thing you do is, am I like this? And then you start opening your own book, and you're like, what have I done? And it's literally this little thing, but I have like a magnifying glass looking to make sure the bubble's going right to the mouth, and I'm like, I missed. No one will notice. But here I am blowing it up on my screen to the point where I'm like, it should have been just one press up. I printed trash, and you have to be talked down at the ledge. Rob, let it go. Stop.
Oh, I've heard the let it go many times.
You're about to hire a new artist and rewrite the whole script. Oh, we're gonna start from scratch. This is trash.
Drop it all. We got to start over.
I understand.
Things wrong. Oh yeah.
I understand you, Lucas. I get why you redid the Star Wars. Never go back. Once you publish it, unless it's a glaring error, always talk about that being your earlier work. Well, that's my earlier work. It's you know, it's quaint.
Well, you know, I'm going to pop Ennis's QR code up here as well. Going to your Indiegogo because it's in demand still. But aren't you working on something else? I mean, not just story 2, but you've got something else that's in the works, don't you?
You know, I'm working on multiple projects. So are you referring to some of the other stories?
Yes, we want some insight.
Well, I mean, I'm a widow. I lost my husband, like, it was in 2014. He had a spinal brain tumor, and I thought I'd write, you know, about the trials and tribulations of being a widow, but in a very dark comedy style. So it's a bit like, kind of, how shall I say, Sex and the City meets Monty Python. You know, it's just mental.
Okay, I gotta check that out.
Yeah,
So that's
more about that.
So I'm just trying to get everything shipped out, and then I've even got post-it boards. This is how I broke down my chapters, you know. So, you know, it's kind of like taking, for every chapter, it's taking an element of what happened in the past, what happened during the time he was ill, and then sort of, you know, what happened in the aftermath. And it's all kind of like themed and related, and kind of like, you know, each segment has a sort of a moral to it, you know, dealing with different issues. But yeah, also I mean, at the end of the day, you know, if you know, you have to laugh sometimes because, you know, there's only so much crying you can do. And you have to have the willpower to continue on, especially if you have kids who still need you. And I wanted to do it as an inspiration that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's amazing sort of like, you know, like when I was hearing Fish talk about what he went through, and I found that really inspiring, and it put all my problems into, you know, put me to shame. Like, you know, he's just had so much to deal with. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm moaning about my issues, you know. I need to have that reality check. So yeah, the other one was a project I wanted to do it's called Rags to Bitches, and it's about my time working in the fashion industry, where it can be very cutthroat and, you know, very political. And again, you know, sort of it's a dark comedy, you know, but at the same time, you know, a bit, you know, I mean, I love the boys, and I love the balance between how crazy it is and how dark it is and how funny it is. and I think swearing is good, and sometimes I think it's nice to have the excuse of having Tourette's, because that way you can get away with swearing a whole lot more. But I know it's a stereotype. So.
Oh yeah.
No, I just like cursing because it sounds French.
My kids are now wanting to get a swear jar because they've caught me swearing so many times. They're like, we have to have a swear jar.
All you have to do is just tell them, kids, you know how much it'll cost you out of your allowance? Do you really want to go down that road?
No, they want a swear jar from me.
Yeah, but I would be like, that's where your allowance comes from. The money that I would put in the swear jar.
All right.
More like the swear jar would be their allowance, and then they'd be just setting you up for things.
But I have those moments where I am so stressed out that I will be cooking dinner and I will be talking to myself and having reliving that moment where I should have done a certain thing, and actually having like spasms of fits, like swearing at the induction cooker. You know, it's like, because at the time I was too passive. I didn't respond, you know, I was just too in shock. So yeah.
I do that at the gym, and that's why people stay away from me at the gym. Why is he yelling at the weight? Why is the weight bad? Why is he telling the weight to say it to his face? I'm not going near that guy.
It's nice to know we're all, you know.
Crazy.
I'll never forget my first day of college, and my stepdad was like, for the love of God, don't talk to yourself. And, you know, it was between classes. I hadn't really met anybody yet, so I'm just chilling on a bench, you know, looking through my sketchbook. Realized I was deep in conversation. I was like, well, I screwed that up.
I say embrace your oddity, because it's the most awesome thing about you.
Absolutely. You know how much awesome dialogue I've worked out by myself in public sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
That's the best way to
That's
write
a
dialogue.
talent there. You can create a whole dialogue between two people because you're good at it.
Oh yeah.
That's what I do. I write dialogue. I read it out loud. I talk to myself all the time. And I'm like, that's not crazy. That's brilliant.
You've got to read it out loud, because we will write things that just don't sound right coming out of a mouth.
Yeah.
So like you've got to read it, make sure it sounds like something you would actually say.
Yeah.
I got really bad like after the 90s, and you know, all the big mega stars and stuff, and you know, comics, and Jim Lee and McFarlane and all them. Like I remember Rogue got really bad about writing like the way she talked rather than like the actual words she was saying. And I, as a Southerner, I picked up on that, because, you know, we say instead of I, and then pretty much really soon I realized everything I'm writing, you need a translator to understand, because I'm using so many like idioms and things to sound like the way I actually talk. And I was like, okay, I got to stop that. I got to rein that in a little bit. But still, it needs to sound like real speech, you know?
And I'm going to pull up JD's QR code that we've made for him. This should take people to the in-demand. I better double check that. But JD, go ahead. Tell us a little bit about the Oswald Chronicles and what you've got going here.
Well, I have a number of things going. Like I said, I'm 1,000 pages into this story. So currently on Indiegogo, I have Fallen Gods running, and it's a 4-part limited series where we have Oswald facing off against mad gods, crazed sorcerers, and where he's confronting these issues and he's trying to deal with them and trying to save the world at the same time.
Okay, now I just double checked. This is going to Kickstarter Oswald Chronicles Clive Tale 1 and 2. Is that still active?
No, that actually completed.
Okay. All right. So,
but do you put the link in to redirect it, right? So if anyone takes a picture right now, this is redirecting to your Indiegogo and that custom link in the Kickstarter?
I didn't set this up. I think Meredith.
No, I'm saying, can you for the audience today? We don't have enough time in the program. If you
I can
go back and do that right now, just put that link so it can redirect. That way it's an active link and it works. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, on your Kickstarter specifically, there's a place that you can put in a bar that a lot of people will drop their home websites. it's really great to put your newest projects there too. Because if someone Googles, the Oswald Chronicles and they get the wrong one, they click that link, click here to follow the continuing adventures. Someone's going to click there to find your Kickstarter. If it goes to the newest Kickstarter, you've now delivered them right to where they have to be. So that's the great place to market yourself. Kickstarter already thought of it.
Comments, I did put the correct link to Indiegogo so that people can go there. And I have one more QR code because Rob, you don't get to promote yourself enough, I don't think.
I'm really proud of the work I do. That lack of promotion has nothing to do with me at all being shy about how great the work is. Honestly, I got really used to promoting myself at cons. When I'm at cons, I'm very good at promoting myself in person, so I get to meet people and talk to people. When I'm on here, it's just I want to help other people. A lot of what I do. So it kind of shows in my work because this actually advocates for children. It advocates for what to do when you see bullying. We've never talked about that as far as I know. How many programs or comics or cartoons have you seen where someone addresses what happens when you witness bullying and how you're supposed to handle it? I've never seen that. And this all came from a point where someone told me I couldn't make on a live stream like this. This is how long I've been doing it. This is back to the point. On a news program we were doing, we were talking about there not being writer's block, and someone said, if it's so easy, make an elephant that farts. Okay, here it is. Elephant.
I'll show you.
Yep. And she is making waves. She has become a character that people love and identify with. And, we use farts to teach morals. I dare you to top that tagline.
What? You've got other books that you're working on. You've got other stories with Jax.
Oh, there's tons of. Jax is going to have a full library of stuff. We're introducing new characters. The second issue is so close to being done. We're looking at an October Kickstarter, but we're still trying. I won't Kickstart a book until I feel it's ready. So if there's anything we want to go back, I'd rather not rush it. And I always tell them we had my artist on Indie Vault's Sunday Funnies last week, and Raheel Mohsin, amazing creator. Chuck is part of the creative team, does an amazing job helping me work out some edits. He hammers it out with me. When having a great editor really matters because they're your sounding board. And I remember this first issue, I rewrote 3 times. And I mean, took the script, deleted the file, or for image sakes, took the paper, crumpled it up, and threw it in the trash can. I rewrote it 3 times until that 3rd time, and I handed it to him, and I said, this is it. This is the one. And he was like, yeah. And I had not said that to him. He's like, okay, let me look at it. And he's like, he read it right there. Like we were sitting together in a room like this, except back then it was Google Hangouts. And he was like, yeah, that is it. That is it. There's not a lot, just your dyslexic stuff that I have to fix. But for the most part, yeah. A couple lines we can make better, but yeah, this is it. And since then, it's been the running. And it's funny because the second issue, I had really figured out the mechanics of the characters at that point. It was like that. I sat down. Half an hour later, I had the script. I passed it to Chuck, and he's like, "Wow!" He's like, "First try this time," and I'm like, "Yep." And then, of course, because it was so simple, I put it out for everyone to view. And someone accidentally reverted it to an earlier draft before I made all the edits. So Raheel got the script without the edits, and it just, and it was one of those times that it was so hard because Chuck said, wow, this is really good. I don't have to do a lot of work, Rob, because I had edited it before he saw it, and I'd done a good job at it, and it was ruined. It was ruined. Raheel got the script with basically that second draft from a writer. Because the first draft from a writer looks like computer code to anyone else who's not the writer. Because we're just putting our little notes in. It doesn't all make sense yet. And then the second version is like readable. That's where another human being can now read what is poured out of your brain. And then the third one is the one you show your editor. So we went all the way back to the second one. And Raheel's just like, I guess Rob wanted this. And we're looking at the art. And I'm like, why would he put that? I got that out of the script. And I was like, I went back and looked at the script. And I'm like, oh, no, stop everything. Something's wrong. I'm waving you off. Creative process. Fun.
Oh, like I am so used to most of the writers that I work with now sending me like detailed scripts that have everything laid out. Sometimes they'll even go like, for me personally, a little too far with like, I want it from this angle, looking this direction. Which to me, like if you put that in the script, that's all I'm going to see now, and I can't like imagine what would be the most awesome way to show this. But it's a little limiting for me. But I'm used to getting a full script. But now, like I'm in like my 3rd issue of the Sentinels book for Roy Johnson, and he's learned that he can trust me with stuff now. So like sometimes the script will, it'll be real detailed and going along, and then all of a sudden it's like 3 pages of fighting, and I'm like, oh, okay. And now, like, I get to decide what's going to happen and, how do we get here? And I also have to do all the writing for the characters along the way because I do the lettering. And, like, that part actually stresses me out a little bit more because they're not my characters, even though I love them and I've been working on them for a while. So, like, I stress a little bit more over getting the voice right and stuff and what they say. And, is this a little too jokey for this guy or, stuff like that. But it's also fun to have the freedom with it. But, But yeah, my scripts are getting more like that now because he trusts me, and there's a whole lot more like rough edits in places. And I'm like, okay, I can get what he's going for here.
All right, Meredith, time to wrap it up. We're getting to that 2-hour. For those listening, there's a 2-hour limit now on YouTube videos for whatever reason. When you go over 2 hours, they start weirdly uploading your video, and parts of it get taken out. So if you guys can just make sure to keep it under 2 hours, you'll be fine. Anything over 2 hours messes with it on YouTube. Just as a heads up, so we like to pass that information. Let's go around the room. Make me last because Jackson just got home.
Okay. Let's see who is going to go first here. Let's go ladies first.
Let's do it.
Oh, hello. Yes, I'm Eskander. I'm the writer and creator of Ava. You can find my comic on Indiegogo in demand. It's a cyberpunk sci-fi set in the 21st century about a dystopian world where Facebook takes over. And yeah, sort of how check it out. There's and you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. Yay!
All right. We've added your links and things to the social media.
Yes, check out the links on the side or underneath.
Absolutely. And we're going to put your QR code up once again. And then we're going to add Mr.
And that's what I look like when I've scrubbed up.
That's a much better picture than I got. Much better.
I know. I'm lucky I didn't.
I'm just looking for a goofy picture because I love those. That's what connects us. We're like, all right, they got a sense of humor. All right.
I hate having my picture taken.
I need to get some good pictures taken, so I've got like one of those author like pictures. As it is, I usually use like one of my drawings of myself. Anyway, I'm Mr. Fish. I'm from MrFishComics.com. I'm on Facebook and all the other things as either Tourette's Life or Mr. Fish Lee. My Facebook page, Tourette's Life, has my shop where you can find T-Man and Hyperstrike, and where I've got comics and T-shirts and posters and all kinds of cool stuff. And you can see constant pictures of the projects that I'm working on right now, like the Sentinels. And anyway, that's it.
All right. We're going to put your QR code up once again because I love that photo.
There I am in all my sexiness.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And JD, we're going to put you up on the big screen here in one moment. And I actually updated the QR code too. So let's drop this. Go ahead. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your book, where to find you, and then I'll put up your QR code.
Well, fortunately for me, I only have that picture of Oswald up, so they don't get to stare at me too much.
I've been looking for you, JD. I've been looking for a photo of you.
I know. Well, this is currently up on Indiegogo's Fallen Gods. It's a four-part limited series featuring Oswald and his buddies. So you can find those on there. And you can find me on Facebook under JD Calderon. You can find me on YouTube under JD Calderon, and you can go check out my Indiegogo.
All right, and we're going to pop your QR code here. This is the updated one, folks. This is going to his Indiegogo. So make sure that you go over there, throw in a little support. If you cannot, for any of these, if you cannot afford it, and a lot of us, if we had the budget, we would buy everything, I'm pretty sure. Hit the share button.
Mm-hmm.
That's so important. That's the outreach, because I don't know everybody that JD's connected with, and connected with Finn or Rob, but when we share each other's links out and everything, it really it helps us grow exponentially, and that's something that I really love. And just doing our part, hit the button. That's what I like to say. Rob, I'm going to put you up on the big screen so that you can tell people where to find you, your books, and what you're doing.
You can find me all over the internet. That's right. I'm all over it every day. No, you can find me at MrAnderson.com for all the stuff that I'm into. Find Cat Dad and Supermom at CatDadandSupermom.com. And right now on Indiegogo, help me break the $100 barrier. I know it sounds weird, but like even though it's on demand, you have to raise $100, and I haven't been promoting it very well. So I'm so close. Help me get over that. And just tune into all these programming. Make sure that you go and look at every one of the people who are on the show today. These are all amazing creators. And that's the point of everything that we're trying to do with these programs, is bring you some of the best talented people within comics today. And that includes Meredith, who doesn't get enough credit for all that she's done, all the different imagery that she's shown. And anytime Meredith wants to take me off the main screen, she can do so, because for some reason my click thing's not working. I'm trying, it's not working.
I am putting your QR code up here for anybody who is interested. Please head over to the Indiegogo and get him over the $100 mark. It does show that you have raised funds, but I think that was from Kickstarter, and you've brought it over so that it could stay in demand. And again, it's I think these are not back issues. I don't want to misspeak, but pretty soon he's going to have a different label on
They're being
it.
reformatted for a new publisher.
Yeah.
So these are all going to be collector's items.
Got mine already.
Yeah. And so this is the panel. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank you guys for being a part of the show. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that like a coffee table, round table kind of, what are your thoughts really quickly?
Me, I thought today was fun.
I thought it was a lot of fun.
I really enjoyed it. I
Absolutely,
always enjoy these
it.
shows.
I'm down for any time.
It's nice to talk to people.
Yeah,
instead of it makes a change from talking to oneself.
Yeah.
and there was no pressure with today. Today we just all got together to just talk, and it was just an organic conversation that had no intention. And that's kind of what we miss about going to cons. This is really just replacing us, what we would do after a show or before a show.
Mm-hmm.
I miss the carnival barker aspect of it. I love the whole, hey, you look like you need to see a book about a guy with Tourette syndrome. And just, I miss that. I miss that energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rob, do you want to take us out with some of the outros and stuff and other things? I know we played Be a Pair already.
All right. So of course we have to check in with Keanu. Keanu, what are comics?
Comics are awesome.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Keanu, you do my heart so good by popping in here. Thank you for taking the time. I know
I'll tell you,
busy.
Keanu can do more than just my heart. All right, so we're out of here.